Good evening and welcome to the Paranormal Lens podcast presented by Jotnick's Paranormal. I'm Chad Thomas. Way over there is Jamie, and Kirstin's with us, and we're ready to talk about spooky stuff, aren't we?
You mean some ghost stuff?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So guys, how you doing this week?
Good,
It's
yeah. I mean, it's always a miracle how things go by so fast. Like we signed off last week and now we're back again, and I don't know what happened in between. So
That was
probably
like 5 minutes ago, wasn't it?
felt like it. Yeah, probably some stuff, some things. I don't know. No one's yelled at me about not getting something done, so I'm assuming we're good. I don't know. Here we go, though.
Yeah. I spent the weekend at the camp again, in the beginning of July, I went and set up at the camp. End of July, went and helped them tear down and get things packed up. We actually had a mini family reunion there. Ben and Alex were there. Zoe was there. My third cousin, once removed, came along with Zoe. Zoe's college roommate. So it was a family reunion. So yeah, we had fun.
Someday we're gonna have to talk about how you do the math on that cousin thing. 'Cause I'm a
Yeah,
little shady. I'm a little shaky on that one,
yeah,
but I trust you.
sure. I'm glad somebody does. So, Kirsten, what about you? How are things going?
it's been a week. A lot of stuff at work. On the plus side, I'm going to be directing a play in December, and I already have 5 people who signed up.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
So,
really good. Apparently, people want to see the Wicked Witch of the West. In the Christmas Carol. So
Interesting. Okay,
yeah,
let's do it.
it's going to be fun. And I'm already lined up to direct another play next year. So
good. Good.
Am I going to wait and see how this one turns out first?
I mean, 12 Angry Jurors went really well, so
That's true. All right. Well, good for you. Congratulations.
yeah, thanks.
So yeah, sounds like there's a lot of good things going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I should say also Ren Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can't say much of what I'm in right now until, opening weekend, but they're trusting me with things,
That sounds good.
some sharp things, so yeah.
We've got some friends with us tonight. Paula.
They're willing to go further than we are. That's for sure.
Uh, Paula's here with us, and she's liking our things. I believe she was talking here about your Wicked Witch of the West and the Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
So,
Wicked Christmas Carol. It's very entertaining.
and of course, then we have Bert. Hello,
Bert!
hello, spooksters.
Hey, Bert.
So,
Hi, Paula. Good evening, guys.
so, so yeah, it sounds like we all have a lot of stuff going on. The back to school is quickly approaching. Yeah, you got a few years on that one, Kirstin.
Thank God.
But before you know, they'll
No.
be driving.
Nope.
Yep. And Heather's here with us because it's date night for Bert and Heather. We know that.
Oh, we got to get them out of the house more.
And our
Steve!
buddy Steve is
Dills. It's a Steve Dills sighting.
Steve!
so yeah. So ready? Anything else before we start talking about some haunted South?
No better place to be. Let's go.
I'm ready for some ghost stuff.
You ready for some ghost stuff? Well,
Yeah.
tonight we're talking about someplace in Louisiana. It's Myrtles Plantation, but this may not go. It may not start where you think it's going to start. Um, it has earned, of course, just like every other haunted place, Myrtles Plantation has been gained the reputation of one of the most haunted houses in America. But then again, I think every place has. So before we can talk about ghosts, legends, and haunted mirrors, because that'll come up, we have to understand how this place came to exist. So St. Francisville is often called the town 2 miles long and 2 yards wide. It's a nickname inspired by its location in the narrow gulf
Oh, Chad, I'm sorry to tell you we've lost you.
Oh, you lost me. Is
There
that
you go.
better?
Much, much better.
All right.
It was a slow fade out, though. It was nice. It was kind of gentle.
Our podcast our podcast recording studio is great sometimes. But
We
anyway,
had a budget. If we only had a budget.
so let's back up. We're talking about the Myrtles Plantation, which is in St. Francis, Louisiana, a place that earned the reputation as one of America's most haunted homes. St. Francisville is often called the town 2 miles long and 2 yards wide, a nickname inspired by its location on a narrow bluff overlooking the Mississippi River. Today, it's considered one of Louisiana's most historic communities, but when our story begins, this wasn't even part of Louisiana or the United States. Long before European settlers arrived, the fertile bluffs overlooking the Mississippi were home to indigenous peoples, including the Tunica and Huma, and other native groups who hunted, farmed, and traded throughout the region. Those dramatic bluffs themselves were formed thousands of years ago during the last ice age, when wind carried rich deposits of lowest soil from the Great Plains. Over time, those deposits created steep bluffs that in places rise nearly 90 feet above the surrounding landscape. By the late 1700s, this region was part of Spanish West Florida. Between approximately 1773 and 1785, Spanish Capuchin monks sought permission from the Spanish crown to establish a missionary and cemetery on those bluffs where flooding from the Mississippi would be less of a concern. As settlement increased around the mission, the Spanish government established the district of Nueva Feliciana in 1785 to better administer the growing population. That district encompasses much of what is now known as Louisiana's Florida parishes. Now, it's an important detail because at this point in history, this land wasn't American, it belonged to Spain. Now, let me take you nearly 1,000 miles north to Washington, Pennsylvania. In 1794, the newly formed United States was struggling to pay off debts from the Revolutionary War. To raise money, Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton proposed an excise tax on distilled spirits, especially whiskey. While the tax affected producers across the country, it hit Western Pennsylvania farmers hard because for many of them, whiskey wasn't just a drink, it was a form of currency and one of the easiest way to transport the value of their crop. Resentment boiled over during what became known as the Whiskey Rebellion, and in July of 1794, hundreds of armed protesters attacked the home of federal tax inspector General John Neville near Pittsburgh. Among the leaders of the resistance was a prominent attorney named David Bradford. President Washington initially hoped the conflict would be resolved peacefully, but when negotiations failed, he took an unprecedented step and invoked the Militia Acts. Washington called up nearly 13,000 militia troops from several states to demonstrate that the new federal government had both the authority and willingness to enforce its laws. By the time the force reached western Pennsylvania, the rebellion had largely collapsed without a major battle. David Bradford knew arrest was inevitable, so rather than stand trial, he fled south into Spanish West Florida, where he was beyond the reach of the United States government. In 1797, Bradford was granted land by the Spanish authorities, where he built a modest home known as Laurel Grove. He established a plantation and was eventually reunited with his wife, Elizabeth Porter Bradford, and their children. Although David Bradford had escaped the reach of the United States government, he hadn't escaped the realities of frontier life. Laurel Grove was still a developing plantation carved out of the rich Mississippi River bluffs. The fertile soil made the property ideal for growing cotton, indigo, and other cash crops. But, like nearly every other successful plantation of its era, Laurel Grove relied on the labor of enslaved people. Their work transformed the property from a modest frontier homestead into a prosperous agricultural estate. It's an uncomfortable truth, but one that can't be separated from the history of the plantation itself. The wealth generated here came from an enormous human cost. David Bradford would spend the remainder of his life at Laurel Grove. Ironically, after fleeing the United States as a fugitive, he was pardoned by President John Adams in 1799. Bradford briefly returned to Pennsylvania to settle some business affairs before ultimately choosing to return to Spanish West Florida, where he lived until his death in 1808. Following David's death, the plantation passed to his widow Elizabeth. Over the next several decades, the family continued to develop the property, but it would be the next generation that would leave the greatest architectural mark on the estate. In 1831, Bradford's daughter, Sarah Mathilda Bradford, inherited the plantation after marrying Judge Clark Woodruff. The couple undertook a dramatic expansion of the original home. Rather than tearing down David Bradford's eight-room cottage, they incorporated it into a much larger residence built in the popular Greek Revival style, and at this point it had 22 rooms. Much of what visitors recognize today dates to this period. The broad wraparound verandas, the elegant columns, spacious rooms, and intricate woodwork all reflect the taste of wealthy Southern plantation owners during the early 19th century. The house became both a family home and a symbol of social standing. The Woodrows also renamed the estate. The grounds were lined with beautiful crepe myrtle trees, and over time, the plantation became known simply as the Myrtles. As the plantation grew, so did the agricultural production. Cotton became the dominant crop, and historical records indicate that by the mid 1800s, more than 100 enslaved men, women, and children lived and worked on the property. In 1834, the property was purchased by Ruffin Gray Sterling, who continued to refine the estate. Decades later, the years leading up to and following the Civil War brought significant changes across Louisiana. Enslaved people gained their freedom following emancipation, and this fundamentally changed the economy and the daily operation of the estates like the Myrtles. Like many southern plantations, the Myrtles struggled during Reconstruction. Ownership passed through several families during the late 19th century. One of the most significant owners was Harrison Milton Williams, who purchased the property in the late 1800s. The Williams family undertook substantial renovations, modernizing portions of the home while preserving much of its historic character. As the decades passed, agriculture became less central to the property's identity. Instead, interest shifted towards its architecture and history. In the 1970s, the Myrtles entered its modern chapter when it was transformed into a bed and breakfast and tourist destination. Today, the Myrtles Plantation remains a privately owned historic property. Guests can stay overnight, take guided history tours, and explore the grounds. But for many visitors, the beautifully restored home isn't the main attraction. People don't travel from around the world simply to admire the Greek Revival architecture. They come for the hauntings. Now, before we examine the hauntings, there's an interesting physical bridge between the home's history and its paranormal reputation, and that's some of its architecture. During the extensive renovations in the late 19th century under Harrison Milton Williams, several unusual features were incorporated into the home that, that have fueled speculations for decades. First, the stained glass crosses. They were built into the decorative glass of the front entry doors, and they're prominent Christian crosses. Some paranormal enthusiasts believe they were intentionally placed as symbols of divine protection against unwanted spiritual forces. Second, the inverted locks. Several interior door locks throughout the home were installed completely upside down. While modern observers might dismiss this as a simple carpenter's mistake, folklore across multiple cultures suggests that reversing objects or placing it upside down was believed to confuse or trap spirits, preventing them from crossing thresholds. Third, sealed doorways. Accounts indicate that certain doorways were reconfigured or permanently sealed during renovation, leading to the theory that previous owners attempted to isolate areas of the house associated with the persistent disturbances. There are no surviving diaries or construction logs proving those choices were made to ward off ghosts. The stained glass may have simply reflect popular Victorian religious aesthetics, and the inverted locks would have a practical explanation lost to time. Yet, these architectural oddities remain physical details that visitors point to as evidence of a complicated past. When we separate documented historical records from legendary lore, a fascinating dynamic emerges. Some of the most famous stories at the Myrtles have almost no historical proof, while documented historical tragedies produce very real, unexplained experiences. If you know of the Myrtles Plantation, you've almost heard of the story of Chloe. According to local tradition, Chloe was an enslaved house servant or nanny during Judge Clark Woodruff's ownership in the 1820s. The legend says she may have been romantically involved with Woodruff and was caught listening at keyholes to overhear private conversations. As a punishment, Judge Woodruff ordered one of her ears to be cut off, forcing her to wear a distinctive green turban to cover the injury. Fearing she would be sent to work in the fields, Chloe attempted to make herself indispensable by baking a birthday cake laced with crushed oleander leaves. Her goal was supposedly to make the family mildly ill so she could nurse them back to health. Instead, the toxic plant killed Sarah Woodruff and two of her children. The legend states that other enslaved workers, terrified of collective punishment, seized Chloe, hanged her from a tree, and threw her body in the Mississippi River. That is the legend that is often repeated at the house. Here's the historic reality. Historians have found virtually no documentation that Chloe ever existed. She does not appear in plantation inventories, probate records, census lists, or news accounts of the time. Furthermore, medical and historical records strongly indicate that Sarah Woodruff and her two children died during a devastating yellow fever epidemic that swept through Louisiana in the 1820s, not from poison. Yet, despite the lack of historical records, the woman in green is the most frequently reported apparition on the property. Guests and staff describe seeing a figure wearing a green head wrap standing on the front porch or beneath the massive oak trees before fading into thin air. Sorry, I just noticed that the slides are not moving at all.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out and I couldn't figure it out, so.
Yeah, you should be able to, if you don't mind, you should be able to step through them.
Okay.
Here. So moving on, guests and staff describe seeing a figure wearing a green head wrap standing on the front porch or beneath the massive oak trees before fading into thin air. In the early 1990s, a famous photograph was taken for insurance purposes. Now, this is when we had film cameras. When it was developed, it appeared to show a translucent female figure in period clothing and a head wrap standing between two exterior columns. While skeptics point to double exposures, lighting distortions, or pareidolia, many witnesses who reported seeing the figure claim that they had no prior knowledge of the Chloe legend before their visit. And this photo was analyzed by multiple professionals, and they said it was definitely not altered or tampered with. Next is the murder of William Winter. Unlike Chloe, William Winter was very real, and his tragedy is fully documented in historical archives. William Winter married Sarah Sterling, daughter of a plantation owner, Ruffin Gray Sterling. On the evening of January 26, 1871, Winter was entertaining guests in the parlor. Some accounts say he was teaching Sunday school at the time. An unknown horse rider approached the house and called William's name, drawing him to the front porch. It was at this point that the unknown assassin shot him. Contemporary newspapers confirm the shooting and note that the murder was never solved. Now, local lore states that after being shot, Winter stumbled through the front door, crossed the foyer, and climbed exactly 17 steps up the grand staircase before collapsing and dying in his wife's arms. While it makes for a dramatic narrative, historical records from the period are conflicted. Some contemporaries reports indicate he collapsed almost immediately near the doorway rather than making it up the stairs. Regardless of where he breathed his last breath, the staircase remains an epicenter of activity. Guests and staff routinely report the sounds of slow, heavy, measured footsteps climbing the wooden stairs at night. The footsteps are heard stepping onto the bottom tread and proceeding upward, frequently stopping abruptly on the landing or near the 17th step. When staff investigate the hallway, the stairs are invariably empty. The haunted mirror. Perhaps the most famous physical object inside the home is an antique mirror hanging on the main hallway. According to an old funeral tradition practiced in Europe and the American South, mirrors in a home were covered immediately following a death to prevent the departing soul from becoming trapped in the reflective glass. The legend claims that after the sudden deaths of Sarah Woodruff and her children, household members failed to cover the mirror in time, trapping their spirits inside. Visitors routinely report seeing shadowy figures, strange smudges, and the faint outlines of small handprints emerging from behind the glass. Owners and staff members have documented instances of cleaning the glass thoroughly, only for handprints and facial impressions to reappear shortly afterwards in the exact same configuration. Now, antique mirrors naturally experience physical breakdown over time. Oxidation of the silver backing, streaking, and moisture trapped between the layers of the glass can create permanent organic distortions that mimic human shapes. Yet, believers argue that does not account for witnesses who report seeing movement within the reflection itself, especially after one of the owners replaced the mirror glass completely, only keeping the original frame. The unseen residents and the 10 murder myth. A claim frequently repeated in popular culture is that 10 separate murders occurred within the walls of the Myrtles Plantation. Historical archival research, including property deeds, police reports, and court documents, confirm that this number is drastically exaggerated. William Winter's 1871 shooting is the only documented homicide connected directly to the main house. The claim of 10 murders is a clear example of how decades of ghost tours and media retellings can expand a single historic crime into a grand legend. Yet, despite the debunking of the 10 murders claim, broad and varied paranormal experiences continue to be logged across the property. Guests frequently report the sound of young children laughing, whispering, or playing with marbles on the upper hardware floors when no children are staying at the B&B. These reports are often attributed to the children lost during the historical yellow fever outbreaks. Staff members working after dark report full-bodied shadow figures moving across the hallway, a man in a dark period coat watching from the second-story windows, and EVPs being captured on audio recording equipment during modern investigations. The Myrtles Plantation presents a fascinating study in American folklore. Its history is well documented. A story of Spanish land grants, frontier fugitives, the tragedy of human bondage, and the violent upheaval of the Civil War. Its legends are equally defined: tales of revenge, poisoned cakes, and trapped souls. What makes the property enduring isn't just one story or one documented event. It's the way documented history, oral tradition, and over half a century of consistent personal experiences have been woven together. Whether those experiences are driven by residual energy, structural acoustics, the power of atmospheric suggestion, or something genuinely beyond our current understanding, the result remains the same. The house gives the history structure, the legends give it its voice, and the stories refuse to die. Now I'm going to let that sink in a bit. I'll let that sink in a bit, and while you think about it, here are my sources. www.bradfordhouse.org/learn/whiskey-rebellion-history, www.llewellyn.com/journal/article/2923, themyrtles.com/pages/history-culture, https://sanfrancisville.net/about. And because I spent a lot of time recently in the car, I want to credit the following podcasts: Southern Gothic, Ghost of the Myrtle Plantation encore episode, Morbid, Myrtles Plantation, and Creepy Shit, episode 1, Shadows in the Glass, Uncovering the Truth at the Myrtles Plantation. So that's what I've got. What do you guys think?
Wow. Well, before we get there, let's catch up on some comments. Sliding
I'm
through.
staring at this map.
Yeah, I thought you guys would appreciate that.
Yeah,
So
it is good. So going back to bit, Steve started with clarification needed. Capuchin monks or capuchin monkeys? This could go crazy if in one of these directions. A very true statement. Steve also commented to Pamela Campbell. You and Jay stayed here not terribly long ago. There was an exclamation point for that. Paula noted, however, wow, inverted locks. I have them in my house. Well, do you have any sealed off rooms that you know about, or maybe you don't know about? Maybe something looking at. Bert noted, beautiful house and property, only a 19-hour drive, ... road trip. And Bert Nelson noted, rooms are only $161 to $361 a night. So we got that going for us. And Paula said, yellow fever causes hallucinations and affects brain function. And also, maybe this is why there were so many murders.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're caught up. I'm with Bert. Let's go.
Road trip.
In the car. Let's go. We leave now.
So yeah, it's definitely an interesting story. Oh, definitely an interesting story.
All of these, we did not our first plantation by any means, but every time we do these, there is this odd mix of fact and fiction in the tales of the place, and it's always, with respects to liking a good story, and I think we all do. It's up to us to one, do research of our own, and thank you for doing it for here. But two, it's up to us to believe what we wish to believe. Like, even if there is truth, you still can tell a story, tell the tale again and again. And I think that's kind of the play that the plantation ownership has had in sharing these stories through, because it is part of the history. It's part of, even if it's not factual, it's still part of the history, the lore of the place. And that's kind of cool,
Mm-hmm.
And if any of it's true, that makes it just creepy, right?
Right.
So, and that draws us, people like us, those listening around the world, to the place, and they get visitors from everywhere. So there is a draw, and there's power in that story. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Now there is question. There was a book that says something about they didn't have. Sorry, I've got to notice that my Mac battery might die, so I may have to jump off here in a minute. Plug that in. That things didn't start appearing till maybe after that renovation, and was it stuff that they actually created? So
possible. Certainly.
So
we know that from other locations. When renovations come, changes are made to the physical structure.
Mm-hmm.
Activity can spike, or at least become more active if it wasn't overt before.
Yeah.
Because we like things the way they were.
Yeah. I'm gonna to mute and hide my camera for a second. I'm gonna go fix my computer before it dies. So give me 1 second.
Of course. Kirstin, we can talk about him now.
Oh no, we can talk crap. All right, let's go.
Seriously, did you see what he was wearing tonight?
I can't believe he wore that.
What the heck? Who does that?
Goodness.
Oh my gosh!
And you know what? The dog wasn't even in the camera.
I know. I feel like
the dog is the star here.
Maggie is really the star. I agree.
She really is.
Oh, hey, Chad,
you're back.
I'm back.
We weren't talking bad or anything.
I muted myself, not you guys.
Oh
shit!
You forget how that works.
Okay, cool.
Well, your hair looks nice.
I love that shirt, man. It's great.
Great shirt.
Is that Maggie in the background?
No, Maggie's upstairs. But do you know what shirt this is, Jamie?
Oh, that looks very familiar.
Trans-Allegheny.
Yep, I've been there, done that.
Yep. So
very cool.
So my computer's not going to die now. It's got plugged in. But remember how I talked about the photo,
Mm-hmm.
the insurance photo? I'm going to bring that picture up for those of you who can see it. I've got the overall picture, and then I've got an enlargement of it. And there is definitely a figure
Oh
that's
yeah.
there that wasn't there when they took the picture. This
Yeah.
is the space between two buildings. So two buildings, and it's about a 3-foot walkway between the building. So, and I have other pictures that show that that's just a clear walkway. There's nothing, there's no statues, there's nothing like that that could be there to fool us. And the image is definitely like you can see the lines of the clapboard siding through the whatever's there.
Yeah, it's definitely opaque.
So,
Wow. That's
so
compelling.
it's yeah, that one's pretty interesting.
That would freak me out if I took a photo and all of a sudden saw that there.
Hmm. And again, you have to remember that they took the picture, and a
In
week
film.
later, when they got the film developed, it's like,
Yeah.
what's that?
There was no way to really.
Debunk it.
Yeah.
The old days when you had
Mhm.
to wait.
The olden days.
So, so yeah, I mean, it's an interesting property. I'd love to visit this.
Road trip. I drive the 19 hours.
Yeah. We'll split it up. That's easy.
Or we take the bus and let somebody else drive us.
That's true too.
Or the jet.
I'm going to put it back up there.
Yeah, Heather says it looks like the hand is on the pillar and the hand is on the waist. The hand is on the waist. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Something like posing, right? Kind of.
Hmm.
Or stop at a rest, maybe. I don't know. One of the two.
So, and there's
I'm so sorry, guys. I missed a comment earlier here. Heather shared that her mom came over just to see her show with us. She has been watching it, so welcome, Heather's mom.
Hi, Heather's mom.
Very cool.
very, very cool.
It's a family affair. So date night expanded. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Now, and we talked about Chloe, but there's also discussions of other possible witch doctors who were there. There was Chloe, and then there was another one that was very close to Cleo, that had possibly done some things. And again, these are just how things can get twisted. Is it the same person? Is it a different person?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's so interesting. And this is another one that I wish that Jeff and Sean could join us for, because I think they'd really be interested in this. So,
Yeah, agreed. Well, they must just be regulars, right? If that's the case, because it seems like every week we have something that really would fit,
mm-hmm.
and I'd love their opinion. Well, I'm going to say this. It's one of those places where I've been near but not at. But I've spent a lot of time in Baton Rouge, which is just down the road,
Mm-hmm.
and this area is very diverse. As far as culture, there is the obviously native population is still there. Native American presence is still there. There is a lot of influx of everybody who came in. New Orleans really isn't that far away as well. And we did that episode how people were just brought into New Orleans to get them out of Europe.
Right.
And then they spread out. Through the region. There's Creole here. There's a lot of influences from the Caribbean. It's a melting pot of things, and it wouldn't surprise me if there were therefore elements of voodoo, a witch doctor, whatnot.
Right.
Obviously all the variable religions of the respective era that folks were in. It's just such a neat kind of cool thing in a lot of ways, and that makes it hard to kind of pinpoint one thing. Therefore,
Right.
to say it's this, that, or the other thing.
So I feel like we're lucky because we live in a very historic area, but our historic area is all one culture. It's
Yeah.
it's very English European.
It's very vanilla. Yeah.
Whereas this, you've got the Spanish influence before it was even America. Then Louisiana, this was the Louisiana Purchase. Like this whole area was the Louisiana Purchase. And so now you've got the Spanish American mix. You've got the Africans coming in as the enslaved people. Like there's so much culture there that it's very, very, very interesting. So, but as Bert said, there's no woman in white.
That we know of.
This is true. There's more discussion of the woman in the green turban than anything else there. So
I mean, we can walk around and just start going, is there someone here that's a woman in white? And you know what? A spirit may walk out and be like, hey, I'm right here.
Check the box.
Right there.
that way we have to do it every place that doesn't have a woman in white. Just start calling one out and seeing if they appear.
See if one appears.
Hey, we might be bringing one with us. Who knows?
You're right.
Right? Huh.
Now, Paula said, and this is a thing that I'd actually like to do. I just need to get the camera and the film and all that. But she says I still use a Polaroid film when I investigate and catch some images.
So I have a Polaroid, and I took it to Kirstin and to Selma Manor, and I got some interesting photos. I'm like, I can't really explain what I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I use one occasionally as well.
Yep. So Bert says, I guess we'll have to go find out.
And it's worth it. I mean, as an investigator, it's another tool in the box,
Mhm.
and one that is low tech for that matter.
Yep.
It was one I wish I would have remembered when I went to Ashmore, but
Sure.
Packing for myself and for an infant, kind of forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that.
So throw this picture up. This is the infamous mirror.
Yeah.
And like I said, the glass has been replaced. It is not the original silver-backed mirror like from when it was put in the frame. So that's not the excuse anymore. But it still gets handprints and distortions and things like that. So who knows?
So I'm one that I like to scry into mirrors and, see what happens. I want to go there and I want to do that into that mirror. I would love to see like what I start seeing. Like,
Mm-hmm. So
yes.
and this is the famous staircase where the 17 steps up. You hear the boot landing.
Yeah.
So
I think this would be a very fun place to investigate.
mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
When it was remodeled, there were two identical parlors put in. One was a men's parlor and one was a women's parlor.
Jeez. Oh boy.
So times have changed, haven't they?
Wow. So what you're telling me is just like the gentleman's bar at Booby's Brewery, I need to walk into the men's parlor and make someone mad.
Stir the pot, maybe. Yep.
Eloise didn't like me behind the bar at times.
Now this is the picture that we looked at earlier. The circle in red is the supposed apparition, and this is where the apparition was standing.
That's so creepy to me.
So that's there's definitely space between these two buildings.
Oh yeah.
So
Wow.
Every time I see that photo, all I think of is the first episode of Ghost Brothers that I watched. And they bring that up. Such an entertaining show.
They are. They are. They absolutely are. So one thing here, though, go back to the picture, if you may, if you will.
Which picture?
Please.
Where we just were with the space between the buildings. So, there's a gap between the houses or the property here. Who can say what it was in the era of activity from the original state? But even still, there's a path there.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a place where people could pass through here and probably likely did regularly.
Right.
So we talk about this all the time when you're in an investigation, leaving the path open where people would pass through. Like if you're, think about it, we're talking to people, right? When we're investigating, we're trying to engage people who we just can't see. So it's on us to make it accessible and welcoming for them to come to us, instead of like everybody comes in the room and just jams up the doorway, or
Correct.
blocks the aisle, the passages, the place where you would normally transit through. So we always say that, spread out a little bit, get away from those things, and that makes us more welcoming. Here it seems like somebody's just passing through,
Hmm.
right? It's probably a normal transit for them. They were cutting through on their tasks or whatever they're doing, and we just happened to be, whoever this person is that took the picture, just happened to be there at the right place and time to capture it.
Right.
That person could still be doing that today.
Hmm. So cool.
Wow, very cool.
So
Paula said, Kirstin, you can use a candle in front of the mirror for reflection with the lights out. You might see something come through.
what a great idea. I'm gonna do that. And you know what? I know someone who has a candle who they would bring down to the catacombs a lot.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
I have to steal that candle from him, and I'm gonna start trying that when I scry.
And then Bert said, one of us needs to win the lottery, get the bus, and we all take a month off and go investigating.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if I'm the one that wins the lottery, I'm going to take off more than a month.
I'm if I win the lottery, yeah. I'm not working anymore.
So okay, we've talked about this for a good 25, 30 minutes. What do you guys think?
I think absolutely paranormal.
Given its history and the use of the land through all these generations, I'd be remiss to think not to. I think it has to have some activity. I would like to find out for myself.
Well,
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
like
I
every
agree.
place we talk about, but we haven't been there yet. But yeah, this certainly has, it clicks all the boxes, to go be. And yes,
Yep. And Paula's on board.
all right,
Paranormal Lens bus.
let's do it.
Definitely. So yeah, I would agree on this one. There's so much energy and trauma and grief and happiness and all those things that we talk about every time, where emotion, energy, activity. It's the circle that we come to every week, I think. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel like there's something there. And I think Paula agrees with this. So
Yeah. Paula says, I believe so. Many spirits haven't moved on. I think we can agree to that. And, Bert says, with the history of the area, there's ... Damn you, Jamie, you took my thought. We share that one good brain cell. So, yeah. Sorry, buddy.
So yeah, I think we're all in agreement here, and we need to go find out for ourselves. So
Absolutely.
Very
I'm
cool.
already on their website looking for information.
So yeah, it
Talk about
seemed,
the tours.
what's that?
They only talk about the tours, but what if I want to be there overnight?
Well, it's a B&B. It's a bed and breakfast.
Sold.
So yeah, you can definitely stay.
Absolutely sold. Let's go.
So
That is going to be the easiest investigation because we don't have to drive anywhere then to go sleep.
It's true.
there's definitely more and more of those that you can go stay and spend the night there.
Yeah.
Some of them I wouldn't want to spend the night in, like West Virginia State Penitentiary. I mean, we stayed the night, but we didn't try to sleep, basically.
I mean, I slept at Fort Mifflin. It's where I woke up to the weirdest sleep paralysis thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Good thing I had my sleeping bag over my head, or I probably would have seen my sleep paralysis demon.
Bird says they have rooms in the house and also cottages.
I honestly want to stay in one of the cottages because I feel like that'd be fun.
See, I don't know because I don't know if the cottages were all original or if they've been like reconstructions. Whereas this house is
the
the
house
original.
Yeah. Well, the house though, is with everyone in it, an energy. When you're out
Hmm.
in the property somewhere, like a cottage,
Yeah.
you're in the property's energy instead.
Right.
Whether
I
it's
mean, the
birds.
cottage is on the land.
And you
Right.
could still have, say we split up, somebody's in the house, somebody's in the cottages, and we can go both places.
Works for me.
So
So,
everybody's
Yes.
happy. Bert says house, definitely.
yep.
Yeah,
So,
very cool.
all right. Well, I think we are all in agreement. So let's take a look at what's coming up. Jamie, you got this?
I do.
Are you
So
sure?
pretty sure that's a very small font, but I got it. So next week, I am going to take on the Coiba Island Penal Colony. This is off the coast of Panama on the Pacific side. I'm not going to give too much away here, but one of those places where you would never know it was there, and intentionally. And some bad stuff happened to people who got sent there, and some never left. So we'll delve into that next week. And then in the weeks coming after that, on the 18th, the Devil Made Me Do It, the Arnie Johnson trial. That's Kirstin. On the 25th, The Soul Remembers, Past Life Regression. This is going to have a special guest, Desert Star, and this is Chad's episode. It's going to be a deeply personal one there, so I'm really looking forward to that experience. Speaking of personal experiences, on the September 1st, I'm going to do my How I Spent My Summer Vacation book report on the Bennington Triangle. So I actually had time in the Triangle this summer, and happy to share my experience. And then September 8th, a tale we all know, maybe, but not all the details, Lizzie Borden. That's going to be Kirstin. And then on the 15th, Hide and Shriek, The Haunting of Hyde Hall. And that's Chad. And then a place semi near, which this is another road trip perhaps, Bacon's Castle down in Central Virginia. So lots of good stuff coming up as we slide out of summer and into fall.
I can't
Already.
believe. Yeah.
Hey, August 1st is the start of spooky season, right? So
Yeah, it
we're there.
is.
Let's get there. Let's do it. And of course, there's lots of ways to contact us and find us, all of our stuff out there in the world. But the primary thing is www.jotnyxparanormal.com. It's JOTT-NYX paranormal.com. It's our website for all of the things with our team. If you'd like to contact us, Chad, Kirstin, and I, info at paranormal-lens.com is the best way to do it. That's all kinds of things. If you're interested in an episode, to have us do something, to share with us some information. Hey, you guys are great. Hey, you guys suck. All that stuff. Just an email. We'll talk about it. And then, of course, all the things that we do are available on Linktree, and that's linktr.ee/paranormal lens. And lastly, if you're interested in supporting the program at all, we are supported under buymeacoffee.com/paranormal9, or there is a QR code on the screen. We certainly appreciate it. Maybe we can buy Chad a better battery for his laptop or stuff like that. But there is cost to putting on the program. We appreciate anyone's willingness to support us. So it's out there for you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be here either way. Not.
Yeah. Going to go back and answer a question here from Paula. Were there children in the house? Yes, the original owners, the Bradfords, had children. Then their next generation had children, because there were 3 children in that generation, and 2 of the 3 passed away from yellow fever. And then the next generation, I mean, all these generations had multiple children. They had a lot of children because the mortality rate was so high because of the yellow fever and just living in the wilderness. So yeah, there were children through this house through generations. So
Absolutely. And that's part of being in the agricultural world too. I know they weren't working necessarily, but they were looking to have leadership at some point. Generational pass through, controlling the properties, and those things required many kids.
Well, and
mortality rate's a big thing, not just the yellow fever side of it, but all kinds of things could happen. And
yep.
And there's nothing else to do in Louisiana but have kids, I guess, right? I'm kidding.
I mean, and
that's going to get me in trouble.
And as these plantations grew, there were more business opportunities.
Yeah.
Like
It
it,
was more to the place than just the plantation.
right.
That's
Yeah.
all.
So this child ran this part of the business, and so yeah. Um, and then Bert said, "We take enough people to fill all the rooms. Then we've got it covered."
That's right. Fill
Yes.
the bus, fill the
We do.
plantation.
So very cool. So yeah, this was a fun episode. So
It was.
It
It's
was
a
a
cool
very
story.
fun episode.
so
I'm always amazed by like how long a story goes. With especially the story of Chloe, the details.
Hmm.
It's a very creative, considering there's lack of evidence. And that's where I want to make sure I'm clear on. We can't prove the claims, but the claims themselves are so unique. Like lacing a cake with oleander. I don't know how often that may have happened, but
right,
it seems unique to me. And that detail, and the loss of ears because of listening to the doorways, like those, an ear anyway, that's a really specific
right.
part of a story, like that factoid, and it's really interesting how that carried all the way through to now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just neat.
Yeah. So
Oh, well done, Chuck. Well done.
well,
Thank you.
thank you. So all right. Well, if we don't have any final thoughts, we can go ahead and wrap this one up and start getting ready for next week. So let's see. History can be documented. Legends can be passed down, but experiences are personal. Whether you believe the spirits of Myrtles Plantation still linger or not, it's stories that have earned a permanent place in paranormal history, and they'll likely continue to inspire debate for generations to come. So thanks for joining us, and until next week, stay alert, stay respectful, and stay curious. Good night, everybody. See you next week.